Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I'm Steve Novotney. Hope everybody had a terrific weekend. Only 1 hour today. My 4 o'clock guest canceled a little bit, just a little bit ago, and reached out to a couple of folks and got them scheduled for later in the week, but it was too short notice. But my good friend Doug, fresh off a big old break.
Well, half a day off in a weekend.
I know, but still.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun.
You know, you still,
Yeah.
and you have a big vacation coming, right, bro?
Yep, end of this month.
And I just think that's awesome because I know I've come to know you pretty well, Doug, and you work hard.
A lot of hours, Steve.
Yeah, you work hard. I don't think anybody understands. When you see guys working at a construction site, that's one thing. Okay, but you're sometimes 10, 12 hours a day.
Yep.
Because of everything that you do.
Yeah, you might get a break, between the 8 hours and the next couple hours you're at a committee meeting or something.
Now, what were you catching up in Lake Erie, muskie?
Walleye.
Walleye. How big of a fight?
Depending on size, pretty good fight, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we go up there. I have one up there was probably up there for 15 years straight. Same charter boat captain and everything, and then turned around and went to, took a break off of it. I was working a lot of hours and ended up going back and doing it this year with my son, who's now 13, who loves to fish.
That's beautiful.
Walleye fight very hard. They don't wiggle very much, so it kind of feels like you got a snag. And then they just kind of start pulling the drag out.
How was that again?
Zzz, that's one of my favorite noises.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Because you hear that fish just taking line, and you're trying to do what you can to keep it from taking too much.
Yep.
But yeah, the walleye up there right now, they're having a heck of a season. 2 years ago, they had a pretty significant walleye hatch. So those fish are just at legal limit. So 15 inches is the legal limit up there. Caught a lot of them that were 14 3/4. You had to throw back, and
right.
13 3/4. But a good bit of them were just over the 15 by 1/4 inch. Had a few bigger ones than that. But
What was the biggest fish your son caught?
I want to say it was a 21, probably.
That had to be a thrill.
And he hooked onto it, and it just kept running, And
Yep.
Took him a while to get it up to the boat. And one thing with a walleye is if you let your pole go down, you drop the hook out of the roof of their mouth.
Okay.
And once that hook comes out, it's over. You lost it.
Okay, so keep the
So you have to
the
keep
pole
the rod
high.
tip all the way up and just keep reeling steady. And any time that they take off or run, you can't let your rod go down. So you got to keep it up. They bite very soft, something's just barely pulling at the worm you have on the end of your hook with a spinner on it. And you're just pulling the spinner through the water. And when you feel that little bit of resistance, you kind of set the hook. And as soon as you do it, you got to keep the hook set. And if you miss them on that initial bite, sometimes you can let the pole go back a little bit, back in their face, and then pull in if you feel that resistance. Sometimes you get one to 4 tries at them, depending on how hungry the fish is. But
right.
It's neat because you go up there, you're on structure for a walleye. You're in the middle of that lake, and there's rock piles and drop-offs and stuff like that, and you're just casting out of the boat reeling. But when you there, sometimes you catch a drum or a sheephead.
Okay.
So my son probably had an 8-pound drum, and they fight like crazy. I mean, they're I believe they're in a carp family, but they're a freshwater drum.
Okay.
And they just take off.
Yeah, because when you catch a carp on the river, if you're trying to catfish and you catch a carp, they're like, all right. Yeah. Bring me in. You're not going to want me. So be careful.
Yeah.
And just put me back. That. Like carp will look at you and be like, my bad, man. My bad. I didn't mean to really get you all excited. I know I'm big, but you don't want none of this.
We caught some catfish and released them.
Yeah.
Released the sheephead, released some of the white bass, but all in all, it was a good time, yeah.
Very, very cool. Now, did the wife and daughter go, or was it just you and the son?
No, actually, last November, a buddy of mine, Jeff Hart, called from work and asked me if I'd ever been up walleye fishing. And
I've never gone walleye fishing.
I had. And he said, who do you contact? How you get a hold of a charter? And I told him the guy that we'd used for years. And This guy's a retired school teacher, not from this area, for 30 years, and then started charter boat captain. He's got 32 years in, 75 years old. Super nice guy. I don't know how he's that agile around that boat, because that boat rocks and moves, and
does it?
He's coming back to get your net, for you. And
the last time I was out on big water, it was during one of our beach trips, and a few of the guys were like, "Hey, let's go deep sea fishing," and I'm like, "All right." I did it when I was going down to spring training, but that was on the Gulf.
Yeah.
That was a ton of fun. And it was a rough day on the ocean, and I get on this boat, and they're like, "Okay, here's your pool, your pool." I think there were 5 of us or whatever, right. Real early in the morning, too. We had to get up at like 5 a.m. I'll never do it again. But I get on this boat, and I look at the captain, and I was like, "Hey, it's just a person. I'm going to close the drape on you." There's somebody out there. I think it's Michael. Hey, quit. But I look at the captain and I'm like, does this railing come up any higher? And it's not even to my knees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't fish on this boat. And the captain looked at me, Einstein. Captain looked at me and he goes, "Well, they didn't tell me they were bringing Paul Bunyan." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
That's not tall."
Right.
But I couldn't fish.
Really?
Oh, no, dude. It was such a rough day on the ocean that I'd have gone right over that railing. I mean, I'd have got, like, my son was okay.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys, but the one guy who wouldn't wake up in the morning, he'd have been in the same boat with me.
Yeah.
So after we were done, we wanted lunch, and we go to this restaurant. Quit it. And, the other guys are like, "Oh, Steve, we feel bad. We want to give you money." I was like, "Keep your money. I was out on a boat for a few hours. I saw you guys catch a lot of fish. I wouldn't have seen it if I didn't go.
Yeah.
Everything's fine." But then we go back, and this, when you're on the ocean or even on Lake Erie, that works your legs.
Legs, back,
shoulders. Yeah, I mean, it tuckers you out. So, I went back to the beach house, and I laid back down. And I did not enjoy that at all, because that's prime beach time.
Yeah.
We got back at like 12:30. By 12:30, I've already been in the pool and going down to the beach. So I only slept until about 3:30. I was all right. Got into the pool, played pool games.
Yeah.
And, but I did. I looked right at my son, and I was like, "I'm not doing that again." And Mikey even said, "I'm not doing it again either, Dad." And listen, we caught some fish. We took some fish home. We had dinner. Yeah. Well, I should say they, because I'm telling you, man, to cast your pole. And I asked the captain, I was like, "Do you have a chair or anything like that I can sit on and cast out?" And no. And so it just, well, I've already said it. I won't do that again. But it was, it was pretty interesting. But I've never gone walleye fishing.
I can tell you, even in the calmest days, it's pretty rough up there.
Yeah.
I mean, we were right across by Put-in Bay Island up there, and we were fine in the morning. There was a little bit of chop. I mean, shaky waves. By 10:30, the boat traffic started to pick up.
Yeah.
And by 1 o'clock, the fish had shut off because the boat traffic was so bad.
And you tell me, I don't know walleye. Do they stop hitting once the top of the water gets warmer?
Just noises, boat motors.
Okay.
A lot of traffic over top of them scares them.
So they dive.
They go down.
Yeah, they dive. But good for you. I thought you were gone all week, but that's coming up. But I did. I told you prior. I thought about you last week. Of course, did not ask you to be on the show because I thought you were gone all week.
Apologize for that.
And no, I texted you yesterday because I knew that you were going to be home, and and then, I guess I surprised you a little bit. I was like, Doug, is that a yes or a no?
Yeah, I just telling you, sorry I didn't get your message till that late yesterday.
It's all right. Well, I mean, honestly, I thought I had the 2-hour show scheduled.
Yeah.
Mondays seem to be our good day.
Yeah.
And I like talking about development. I got a real cool thing to talk to you about today. Did you see my promo at all?
I did not.
Okay, it says that we're going to talk about the best of the Wheeling area.
Okay.
I'll tell you why, and then I'll reintroduce it for the listeners again after we take our Bob in the Hour break. I thought Erica Storch, delegate, chamber president, she asked a really cool question on Facebook this morning. Actually, I'm going to go to her page so I can read it verbatim, but it just made me, start to think about, well, my answers to her question.
Yeah.
And come on, Facebook. I tell you, pain in my butt. Okay, here we go. All right.
So, is it one of the topics we covered before when we were together talking on the radio?
We may have said a couple of things about it. Okay, here it is. So, friends, if you were responsible for showing a group of influential people the best of Wheeling, what would you show them? Just want to get some creative juices flowing. Thanks. To this point, she has 73 comments.
Awesome.
So we're going to cover that second segment, okay? But I wanted to read that to you so your head could start churning a little bit. Now, the last time you were here, Doug, and, I have one of those memories, there were a lot of guys on the bench.
Still a lot of guys on the bench.
Did you see it coming because of the pandemic? And folks, on the bench means they're not working right now because of a lack of economic development here in the upper Ohio Valley. So when they're not working, they are on the bench.
So there's a lot of things that contribute to my guys being on the bench, or our guys being on the bench. And I'll say that when I say our guys, because any day you can be in the field working with the tools, it's just the way it works when elections come. One of the things is economic development. When you're building something like the Highlands, there's 20, 30 spots for electricians each phase of the Highlands that went through. Some of the bigger jobs like Cabela's, you need 125 electricians.
Right, sure.
So that covers all your local guys, and then guys from local sporting areas coming to help. The development's slow right now, and it was a little slow before COVID hit. I mean, we probably had 45, 50 guys off on the books. With compressor stations and stuff, the gas and oil slowing down a little bit at that time. COVID hit, investment people pulled back what they were going to do.
Yes, they did.
Because they were looking at, is a brick and mortar store really necessary?
Right.
Is it necessary for me to put more money into an industry that I don't know where it's going to go at the next phase, next end? So you had restaurants, every place that normally called us for service, whether it was do a remodel, fix something, it all slowed down. Then you also had local projects, taxpayer dollar projects that went to out of the area companies. So, we talked before about the Bethlehem Fire Department.
Right.
I don't have anybody on that job. The wastewater treatment plant in Belmont County, I don't have anybody on that job. Well, that's 10 guys. Or the water treatment plant in Blair, I'm sorry.
Right.
It's 10 guys. So you add those up, there's 15 guys right there. Then you've got COVID and all that going on. Our guys are not completely broke, but they're busted because now they're going to Beaver, Monaca, putting in 15-hour days instead of 10-hour days with travel to work and back.
We talked about the travel up and back. Do they get paid for that travel?
Absolutely not.
I didn't think so.
It's 2 hours up, 2 hours back.
Does it take 2 hours to get up there?
Plus, it's a half hour each way on a bus.
Okay.
So roughly, for some of my members.
So that's 5 hours of transportation.
Most of my members are working 10 hours.
Gotcha.
There's 14 hours from back to door of their house. It's pretty crazy. It's a lot of hours in a day, and then they ask you to work Saturday. Sometimes it's Sunday. Sometimes they'll ask you to work, Monday through Friday and a Saturday also. So, you're away from your family a good bit at that point.
You have any guys that are going to Beaver County that are staying up in the area?
We did have one guy that went ahead and got a camper trailer.
Okay.
Took it up there and stayed just because of the simple fact he wanted a little piece of his life back. He wanted to be able to say, hey, hon, I'm not coming home for 3 days. I'm going to stay up there in the camper truck. I'll come back for a couple days and go back up there and do it again.
I think that's what I would do.
That's tough.
Well, I know. Trust me. When I was in baseball, I did a good bit amount of travel, and first couple years, Michelle would come down for a week or so, and I'm gone 2 months.
Right.
And I didn't enjoy. My kids were teenagers at that point. I did not enjoy that at all. I enjoyed watching them grow up. Plus, Michelle and I would always play the good cop, bad cop. Who do you think the bad cop was?
Michelle?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, Mr. Disciplinarian. Hey, listen, when my son graduated boot camp and, he was allowed to leave formation to come over and give us hugs, one thing he said in my ear was, Dad, thanks for raising me with discipline.
Yeah.
Boot camp was a breeze. And, but yeah, I missed that. I didn't miss being the bad cop, but I felt bad that Michelle was doing everything.
Right.
And, before Michelle would come down the whole time because of my seizures, she thought it was something of a vacation for me because I always came home dark and tan. And if she came down a week, I would take time off, go to Disney, go to St. Armand's Circle, so on and so forth. But I had arranged it for her week.
Right.
When she was there the whole time, it was like, oh, so you leave the house at 8:30 and you don't get back until 5:30. You eat until about, we go to dinners till about 8, and then you work until midnight. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that. But I was in Florida. Yeah. It wasn't snowy. I can't tell you how many times I came home in late March and there was snow on the ground at the Pittsburgh International Airport, and I'm like, come on. But, the best part. And then tonight, Home Run Derby. I'm pumped.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I think Ohtani is like, my son asked me, he was like, how can he hit like that, pitch like that, and be the... It's where he's from. That's, they don't take the bat out of a pitcher's hand just because they can throw 90 like we do here.
Where's he from?
Asia.
Okay.
But they bat, they play. Right. When you don't pitch, some of them will play a position. But that dude, man, what's he got? 32 homers first half of the season. I remember when extra innings was free. We were watching his team, the Angels, and we were watching him hit, and he hit a bomb, and I'm like, that's the pitcher. That was my introduction to him, and I followed his stats. I've watched a couple of the national games when they're on, like ESPN and stuff, and he's a pretty amazing athlete. I think he takes it tonight. But I think there's a lot of good hitters in this home run derby. I just hope, and I'll say it, I just hope Chris Berman is not doing that back. Listen, he's a nice man. I got to meet him. He's big. He's taller than I am. Yeah. But I'm tired of the back thing. I mean, in the beginning, cool call. Now, not so much.
Repetitive killed it.
Well, it's just, yeah. I mean, think about it, man. That's like 20 years ago that I was doing that baseball gig. When did I start that? 96. So it's more than 20 years when I started that thing. So I got it. Somebody's trying to call me. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, but if the weather cooperates, we'll be out on the porch with the TV. If not, right here, it just depends what the weather does. But I look forward to it. And then tomorrow night, but they play the game now. Like there's something to it.
Yeah.
And they play to win. And Adam Frazier being voted as the starting second baseman for the National League, I think that's awesome. I don't know how it happened, because anytime I watch a Pirate game that's being played at PNC Park, I don't see a crowd.
Yeah.
And but I think that's pretty amazing that Frazier, and he deserves it.
Yeah,
he's having a hell of a year.
Yeah, he is.
And then Reynolds getting in as a replacement, I thought was very well deserved. That man's hitting over 300 after a disappointing 2020 pandemic season. So, he bounced back. Hey, I am a big Pirate fan. And I know that they go cheap. But I think we've got some pieces of the puzzle. I just hate the fact that the culture is, hey, if you're that good, go ahead and play for 5 years, and then we'll show you the door. Because we're going to get bodies for you. We don't need you anymore.
It's upsetting to me to see that they have a field that's absolutely gorgeous, probably one of the nicest fields
Oh,
in the nation.
dude, it is.
Set up, fans being able to watch it, everything else. The history of the Pirates and what was once was, and we watch somebody that doesn't want to put a dime into them, or wants to say, we can be real cheap here.
Yeah. Well,
it's a shame because if they had some moderate income for some of them players, they'd want to be at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree.
Pittsburgh fan base and community around Pittsburgh is awesome.
I can tell you, and then we'll take our break, I can tell you that when the Pirates win, the fans come.
Yes, they do.
Okay, it's a baseball town.
Yeah.
But they're not going to pay for crap. Okay, I found that out. And another thing I found out when I was doing that newspaper is that approximately half of my subscribers, a little less than half, but about, females. And that made me think. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, well, I know my wife loves baseball, but, really? Well, it's because once upon a time ago, the thing to do in the evening was sit out on the porch with your radio, listen to the game. Yeah. And everybody likes to win. So I agree with you, Doug. If they would, look what happened 2013 to 15. Yeah. They had sellouts. They had 2.2 million people in that beautiful park.
Right.
If they get 1 million this year, I'm going to be surprised unless this team goes on a run. I don't think they have the pitching for a run. Yeah. And then last night, first overall pick in the draft, they get a catcher out of Louisville. They haven't had a solid catcher since Jason Kendall. So I thought that was a pretty decent pick. He's a college kid, so if he's worth anything, he should be up in about 4 years, 3 years, depending. I expect him to sign him for the first month next year, probably in single A, and then quickly jump him up to double A, set him up for that promotion to triple A the next year. And, triple A, double A is a big old fielder, but triple A sure is. And then you find out if you're a 4A player or a big leaguer. Mm-hmm. Because if you come up, and we've seen it, I've seen it, if you come up and it's not, triple A is not translating to the big leagues, well, that's usually not good for your career. Yeah. You get labeled a 4A player. And all right, you ready to go ahead and take the break and talk about the best of the best?
Sure.
All right, Doug Giffen is the president of IBEW Local 141. Our conversation continues in a moment right here. Well, wait a minute. Let me get this ready. Our conversation will continue. I'm Steve Novotney. It is Steve Novotney Lives right here on Lead News. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to the folks who hung on during the break. I appreciate that very, very much. Again, only 1 hour today, had a late cancellation. Couldn't fill the hour, but we're 2 hours on Wednesday and 2 hours on Friday, I think. We may go Thursday because, Doug, blame my roots. I have a lot of history with it. Not blame my roots, but going out to Belmont County for country music.
Yeah.
I'm going, I think. I can't go Saturday. I'm in a wedding. My buddy Ben's getting married and asked me to be one of his groomsmen.
There you go.
And, yeah, it's a really cool outdoor wedding in his backyard on the island. And
Can't beat that.
No, I think it's cool. You know, he's riverfront, front channel, and he's got a beautiful piece of property. And some very good friends of ours, they live right next door. So it's going to be, he asked me, and I'm like, are you sure? You know, I mean, we've known each other for 20 years.
Right.
And I said, you sure? I'm a little older. And he's like, no, I want you. Yeah. And I was like, okay, not a problem. What do we wear? 'Cause I was kind of hoping to put a tux on just for poops and giggles.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's an outdoor wedding. We'll get dressed up, but then quickly change into some casual gear. And
Polos and khakis?
well, no, he wants me to wear a jacket and some khakis. He said, bring a tie just in case everybody else wants to wear the tie. And I said, all right. He goes, but bring another change of clothes. I said, don't worry about that part, Ben.
Yeah.
You know, I said, as soon as we're done with photos, I'm getting out of pants and a jacket and a shirt. You know, so I'm looking forward to it. But, you know, Friday, man, I felt so bad for the Duttons last year because of the pandemic. You know, they had it the first year, only marketed it for, 5 months,
Right.
after deciding. Had a decent crowd, but didn't have a crowd.
Right.
And then they, and here's the thing. Chris and his sister, they've made the hard decision. They stuck with the decision that Jamboree in the Hills made, but then backed out of, about the coolers of beer.
Yeah.
And, when I talked to Chris, I was like, hey, it's the new way. I mean, it's just, when Jamboree in the Hills was created with the coolers taken in and everything, there was really not much like that back in those days.
Well, and that was a completely different time in music from what I've come to educate myself with. The performers actually wanted to sell records. The big income for the record labels was the records.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That has completely changed to where the sale is the song. And you have the ability to buy or listen to music online anymore. So the sale is the event.
The show.
The event.
And, that put prices up. And, I mean, some folks, for a 90-minute show, they want $1.5 million.
Right.
And that's the going rate.
Yeah.
Plus, and Chris explained this to me for a story I did a couple months ago. The first year, they just thought, people just want to drink beer outside out here and hear some country music. And then after that first year, they were like, oh, so they do want headliners. And so they went out, Neil McCoy, so Jody Messina, and, of course, Miranda Lambert. And a lot of other good people, and like Luke Burkhart is in it. Gage Jones. They've got some local people, and I think it's pretty cool the way the Dutton family's going about it.
Right, and they had to be totally committed into that second year after they had a first year that was, okay. And then when they got into the second year, the pandemic hit. So now you've spent your expense money.
Yeah.
And now you've got to go out and perform this year. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and I just hope and I hope and pray, and they seem to be happy with ticket sales and sponsors and everything. Right. And when I think the Glessner Group is doing an outstanding job promoting it. As one of their sponsors,
right.
And the folks out at Belmont County Tourism, they're doing a hell of a job. Promoting it. It's all very impressive. I would love to see them get 10 times the crowd they had the first year.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
It's a good lineup. It's a good atmosphere. They'll have a medical tent, but not for all the same reasons Jamboree used to have them. And, I think it's going to be Friday. I'll see Neil McCoy. He's a super nice guy. He really is. When he found out, because when they played at, back then, the Capitol Music Hall, and I was with WWVA. I would get to interview for a half an hour the people performing at the Capitol. And one of them, of course, was Neil McCoy. And he comes in and sits down, meets me, shakes my hand, just a wonderful, genuine man. And I said, so, are you ready for your last show ever at the Capitol Music Hall? He goes, what? And this is off the air. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah. In 2 weeks, Jody Messina's here, and then they're closing her down because fire suppression, blah, 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 the codes. That man, we did the interview, and that man looked at me and he goes, will you take me out front? This place is a maze. Will you take me out front to those brass doors? And I said, sure. And I took him out, and he shook every fan's hand walking into that stadium, or walking into that venue. Yeah. Every one of them.
Yep. Oh, he's that guy. Yep.
And, of course, we know about the young boy in Shadyside that he hooked up. Yep. And, that's just my kind of people right there. My kind of people. Doug Giffen is here, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, he is the president of IBEW Local 141, the best of the best. I'll read Erica's question on Facebook again.
Right. And I'm sure my answers will come up a lot like everybody else's.
I'm sure. So, friends, if you were responsible for showing a group of influential people the best of Wheeling, what would you show them? So I know my answers. I wrote mine down. What's number one on your list?
I think it has to be Wheeling Parks.
Which one? Wheeling Park?
I would say Ogilvy because of the history there and what actually happened, and it becoming a city park, and the way it's ran, and the ability to go up on top of the hill and look over the valleys.
Yeah.
And the golf courses, and the ease of a small town zoo, and Wheeling Park, Shank Lake, and the quiet, serene atmosphere that is walking around and seeing kids fly kites, and people fish and paddle boating and miniature golf and just everything they do there. And the park systems all around Wheeling are that way.
Yeah,
right here. I mean, I guess I've never lived in Columbus or anything, but it's like they're used, but they're not overcrowded. And I think there's a lot to be said for the ability to do some activities you want to do within the Ohio Valley with not feeling pressure of, a big city area.
And I agree with you. I think sometimes we have a bad habit of taking Ogilvy for granted. Yeah. As far as Wheeling Park, I wish people would calm down about the playground. It's all being replaced in the near future. The equipment's in. Yeah. But, yeah, they had to put caution tape on some of this stuff because, unfortunately, over the years, plastic cracked. Yeah. And if your child gets pinched by one of those cracks, your child's not going to be a happy child. No. Because those are very uncomfortable and usually cause an injury. But, yeah, Ogilvy, when my daughter started dating Christian, I'm like, hey, let's take Christian around, let him see Wheeling. And the first place was Ogilvy Park. Yeah. And, showing him the lodge and, all the amenities, as you said, the golf courses, the lake, the pool. It was he was impressed. He's like, in the Pittsburgh area, they have North Park and South Park. But those two parks, and I'm not just saying this because I grew up in Ogilvy, those two parks they don't match up against Ogilvy. Maybe Wheeling Park, but not Ogilvy.
And then you look around, Steve. I mean, pick an activity you want to do in wintertime. Skiing.
Yep.
Ice skating.
Yep.
You go sled riding.
Yes, you can.
I mean, if you want to go ice fishing, there's Pond State Parks right here. You can go do that. As far as doing activities, buy a kayak, go out Big Wheeling Creek. You know what I mean? You
know what? That's one reason why I cannot wait until the Interstate 70 project is completed, because they have it shut down in a couple of different areas. Right. When they thought, most people call it the Hump Bridge, but the Monument Bridge, when they thought that was going to be repaired, they closed the creek in Elm Grove. Yeah. I don't know if those orange signs have been removed, but
I don't know.
If you're on Big Wheeling Creek and you go by Lindsley and you come around, by Kroger, you're going to see the big orange signs, and you really want to follow those signs and get out at Kroger, because there's a bridge spanning Big Wheeling Creek, and you cannot get under it.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't get under that. All right, what else? We don't have to limit it to Wheeling. I know Erica did, but
and we'll also say, the restaurant business and breweries have picked up a little bit of Wheeling here in the last 5-6 years.
I agree.
Seems like you're getting a better taste of local restaurant style and mixture. The Heritage Port, what a phenomenal build that they put into there. Tearing down the old wharf and making riverfront access to have fairs and festivals in.
I agree.
It seems like, last year with COVID, there wasn't a lot of festivals down there, but they're all coming back this year for the most part.
Come on. Quit. I'll take you upstairs.
Say you want a fitness center. There's plenty of fitness centers
There
around
are.
in this valley.
Well, Center Market is my number 2.
Right.
Okay, and you mentioned restaurants and, the breweries, because they've got the Wheeling Brewing Company and Brew Keepers down there.
Yeah.
They've got, Wheeling Brewing. I love their food. Market Vines is very good. Valley Cheese is way more than you think. Mike's Beef House is good. My wife still loves to eat those. I like the Little Mike, which is the ham and cheese.
Okay.
And also up on Wheeling Heights, you see the view. If you're looking east, you can see the view mostly of Interstate 70. But if you get into, say, Cliff House, the Cliff House West, the view of downtown Wheeling and the gateway to the west is inspiring.
Yeah.
That's luckily, and Roxby has the Cliff House West. Luckily, we had a Roxby party up there on July 4th, so that's where we were able to watch the fireworks. And, so that's on my list. I think Mount Wood Cemetery. If they're interested in the history of the area, I think Mount Wood Cemetery really tells the story.
So does Betty Zane Cemetery and Ferry.
That's right, yeah. I love it up there.
Yeah.
That's, and like you mentioned, Heritage Port. If I'm going to take somebody to Heritage Port, I'm going to go slow on Main Street right now. 2 years, I can't wait for the completion of the streetscape. But right now, I'd come down Main Street and take that right onto water just to get off those roads. And then that way, you can go by Heritage Port. If you want to stop, you can stop. And then you keep going on Water Street, and there's the arena. And I don't know what the census numbers are going to come back as, but, most towns this size don't have an arena like that.
Steve, we've talked about this stuff on your show before, and I think, if you go out of town, say you go out of town somewhere, say you go out west or Pittsburgh, you've got 2 things you're probably going to do. You've got something you're going to do for the day, whether it's a water park, whether it's the good zoo or the zoo, Pittsburgh Zoo, and then you're going to take in dinner. You're going to go to a nice hotel room. Hopefully your stay's nice and accommodating.
Yeah.
You might get up and do a late lunch or a brunch and leave the area if you're staying an overnight stay. Somebody that's coming in for golfing, they're going to go golfing and they want to go somewhere nice to eat or go do something. They got the casino over here. You have a bad golf day and it's raining, so you have an alternate plan. Really, we have a lot to offer. It's just getting tourists to recognize Wheeling. And I think you've got to do it in a multi appeal way. Have some golf packages set up.
Sure, right.
Have some, hey, we're going to have a specialty tube race down Big Wing Creek or whatever you're going to do. You've got to have that stuff so that you're drawing different kind of people in, and they're still going to spend their money here.
I agree. And, I know that tourism is coming back a little bit. Frank O'Brien, Olivia Littman, and Michael Biella down at the CBB, they do a terrific job. Ogilvy is just such a gem.
Yeah.
And, the packages, as you said, that's the key. Yep. And, you can package somebody, say go up to New Vrindavan and then go to Grandview Park and then go to the Cockaigne House. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Marshall County's blessed with a lot of attraction as well.
Absolutely. And
the 2 CVBs work well together. And then Belmont County. There's a lot in Belmont County.
There is, yeah.
Seneca Lake, Bark Camp is just an outstanding facility.
Absolutely.
There's just, it's a really cool area that I think a lot of us tend to take for granted because we live here.
Well, we're doing work on our houses and stuff. It's not our getaway.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the pandemic really kind of reminded people about Oogabee and Wheeling and Bark Camp and stuff because, we were told, and it's still true, that being outside is the best way to go about it because most of the transmissions have taken place inside. So all of a sudden, like that, man, we're out of time.
Oh, come on. We didn't get the walking trails in.
I know. Go ahead.
Easy
You got more of a list?
No, thank you. Good topic.
Doug, thanks, my man.
Yep, not a problem.
Doug Giffen, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the IBEW Local 141. Man, that show went by quick, but I guess that's what happens when we're only doing 1 hour. Thank you to everybody out there for listening today. We will be back on Wednesday, 3 to 5 p.m. Until then, God bless you, folks. We'll talk again.